right, well, shit, man. This is the fucking SaturnGates interview, man. Before we even get into anything, it's good to finally fucking see you, bro.
Yeah, it's
This
good to
man
see
is
you.
a ORS OG, been supporting me. Like, when did you even follow the page?
It was like probably a year and a half, almost 2 years. It was you were under 1,000 followers. Yeah.
Damn, it's crazy, bro. It's a fucking OG right here, man. That's crazy. Hey, but shit, man. I want to ask you before we
Yeah.
even get into everything. How was
Mhm.
your day today, bro?
It was good. I had class. I had a 3-hour lecture today. That shit sucked. But yeah, it was good. I hung out with my boy Argo over here. Worked on our album a little bit, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, it was good. I played with my cats.
Hell yeah.
Fed him dinner.
How many cats you have?
I have 2.
Mm,
Yeah.
very nice.
Yeah.
What was the 3-hour lecture you had?
It's a class called Sound Reinforcement. It was we were talking about like live sound, like going over the consoles they use and like all the different parts
Damn.
and shit.
So what's your major here at Drexel?
I'm music industry, on recording arts and music production track.
Damn.
And then I'm working for a minor in business administration with it as well.
Dope.
Yeah.
That's fire, bro. How do you like the school?
Man. I mean, it's great. Like I wouldn't be where I'm at in my career without like coming to this school.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the curriculum and stuff, it's
Too much.
I mean, it's not all the classes are for me. Like I'm not, waking up and jumping out of bed to run to class to learn about how to run sound for festivals and
Yeah.
shows and shit, but a majority of it's cool. I mean, I get to be in here a couple times a week for class, so that's cool.
Nah, this
Yeah.
fucking setting we're in is crazy, especially for a class. Like
Mhm.
Ethan, you can go ahead and like, give the people a little like, just like show a little bit more of the studio here we're in. But having a class in here is crazy. Like we literally have fucking like seats right here for people to sit in. Like what do you learn about specifically here?
The class I have in here is mixing and mastering.
Makes
And it's
sense.
with Ryan Schwab, who's a big mastering engineer in Philadelphia. He actually canceled class next week because he's going to the Grammys because he's nominated for a couple Grammys this year.
Damn.
Which is really cool. But yeah, I mean, I've had like other classes tailored to sound recording and just actually like session recording and whatnot. But there's also classes in here like what's the class called? Like analog hardware classes where they'll like break apart some like 60-year-old box and route it to the board and like do full tape recordings and stuff. So it's pretty comprehensive, but I mean it's a cool spot.
Hell yeah, bro. That's
Yeah.
sick. Do you know what songs he's nominated for?
No, it's oh shit, I think I'm a bad student here. I don't even know. I think it was like best engineered something album. I may be wrong on that, or maybe it's just best like super specific genre album. But I'm pretty sure he mastered a good majority of the album, so his name's kind of all over it from what it sounds like.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
I feel like especially as an engineer, like, you really don't get like that recognition that like the artist would, but like, they're such a big part of this shit. So that's
Yeah.
fire, bro.
Yeah.
But shit, man. I mean, one of the main questions I'm sure a lot of people want to hear is how did you even get into producing, bro?
So I like played drums and stuff all through high school and before. But I had a friend my junior year of high school in physics class. He made music, and he was really the only person from like our school that actually like took rap hip hop stuff seriously. His name is Wildo. Shout out Wildo. But we had class together, and on the last day of school, junior year, we skipped our physics class, and we went to his car because he wanted to go smoke. And I was like, okay, I'll just come because I'm bored. Like, I don't want to go to class. And he had GarageBand open on his computer because he was like working on some like random beat or whatever. And he was like, do you make beats? And I was like, no. He's like, try it. Because like he knew that I played drums and like I was around him playing drums for like groups and whatnot that he was a part of. So I did that, and I got a video somewhere of like me making like my first beat, like him just like nonchalantly
In the car?
recording it. Yeah, in the car.
Were you fried?
No, I don't smoke. So
Oh, okay, got you.
but yeah, that there was that, and then I didn't really take it serious, and then COVID, like once like lockdown actually hit, a couple of my friends from school, like just threw me in a group text, and they were like, "We want to make music, and you're the only person we know that like has any background in it." So they would just come over, and I would do engineering work for them. I did engineering for like 8 months before I even like touched beats. And I use engineering loosely because it was like a Blue Yachty plugged into the USB on my Mac going into GarageBand, just playing around with EQs, not knowing like what I was doing. But then eventually they were coming over and just making so much music that they were running out of beats that they liked. And so that's when I started actually like making beats for people. I was for them. Excuse me. And then I did nothing but make beats with them for like 3-4 months, and then at that point I transferred here, so I was just kind of like all in. Like there was no second option because I loved making music, but now I was going to school for music, so I kind of had to keep loving it whether I did or I didn't.
Yeah.
And then 3 months after transferring here, I get my first major song with Lil Baby, and then I got one with Trippie Redd the next night.
That's crazy,
so
bro.
it was
Congrats.
kind of like destiny that I was like, okay, I feel like I'm kind of cut out for this.
Yes.
It all happened just so quick.
Yeah. What songs were those that you had?
Hold up. Can you go grab Morgan? Yeah. Thank you. He's just up top. Thank you. You need my wallet? All right. Damn. Sorry.
No, you're good.
My girlfriend's outside. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
What were the 2 songs with Lil Baby and Trippie Redd?
So the song with Lil Baby, it was on some throwaway ass beat I made in the worst studio on campus with my boy Mariano, who dropped out. He's out in LA now. The original that he recorded, it was an open for some smaller artist. I think his name was like Big Dick Chima or something. Like I swear to God, that's the dude's name. But he was recording an open on that, and then, I mean, I'm dead ass, bro. Like with a name like Big Dick Chima, like it's I don't know if he's valid.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was that I'm assuming just got shelved.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's ever gonna hear it. And then the Trippie Redd one, it was something that was made for Trip at Night, which was like the whole like Miss the Rage album, so everything was on like the crazy rage beats. And it made it through the first album cuts, and then it got cut for the final cuts, but it got shelved for the deluxe. And then I was in LA actually working with Mariano for like the Trip at Night deluxe, just to try and squeeze in some more songs on there. And literally the night I got there, like Trippie announced like there's no deluxe. Like I threw away the deluxe. So that's shelved somewhere. I don't think I'll ever hear it. But I mean, it's cool to just know that happened in general, and to just have confirmation from some sort of higher up that actually did happen, and it's not just like a word of mouth type thing from one of my friends. But yeah, I don't think anyone will ever hear those, which sucks, but that's just part of this industry.
Yeah, man. You definitely like make a variety of different type of beats. Were those rage beats kind of like the first like main things like you really started grinding on, or what was like the
Yeah, I was just kind of doing whatever for a while, just kind of doing a bunch of stuff, but not really like trying to get good at any one specific thing. But then once I actually like moved in at Drexel to the dorms and everything, I don't know like what happened, but I guess that's kind of, it was like a month after like the Miss the Rage like snippet first went crazy viral on Trippie's Instagram, and I just kind of locked in on that because there was a person that lived on my floor, their name's Miles, shout out Miles, and they were crazy big into like the whole underground scene, like really, really underground. And so I would work with them, and then just by working with them, that would kind of push my mindset of like, okay, how can I kind of mainstream what they're doing here, but also not, kind of lose on the authenticity. And the middle ground that I found was just kind of focusing on that annoying ass rage stuff. So that's what I really focused on for a while. And then once that died out, then I just kind of moved on from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny that you say like it's kind of becoming annoying now. I kind of agree with you. That rage sound. I feel like we had Trippie and then Cardi, and now all these we had Ken, Destroy Lonely, and like all of these artists now kind of trying to ride that wave. I feel like it is becoming a little stale. Do you feel like there's a disconnect between like producers who may want to make something that like, what's the term that they may feel more inclined to make, like something that kind of gets their creative juices flowing more, and a disconnect between that and like rage beats that they kind of have to grind out to make money?
Yeah, I would definitely say to some extent there is. I know, like, even for myself, I've been in this situation where it's like, I wake up one day and I make like 2 gospel loops, and then I make like a dark like Gunna beat, and then I do like Rod Wave shit, and then I go to bed. But then there's also days that I'll come here and I'll just hole up for 9 hours and do nothing but make loops for like Nardo Wick. Like there's really no healthy balance between the two, but that's also just kind of what you have to do if you're wanting to focus on actually like working mainstream. Because just with the network that comes with producing, there's so many different opportunities with so many different artists and whatnot, that you kind of need to have a portfolio that covers everything.
Yeah.
But you also need to be able to, like, if someone texts me and is like, yo, I need a 20 pack of loops for Lil Baby in 3 hours, be able to sit there and crank out 20 not stale loops in 3 hours. So I would definitely say there is a disconnect. But I would say that the two also kind of mesh together more than one might think. Oh, what up? Hi. Oh, thank you. How are you? Good morning. Sorry. How are you? Sorry. Apologies.
No, you're good. But shit. I mean, I guess that kind of answers that whole part of that section of the interview. But I want you to talk to me about. Explain to me who SaturnGates was.
Oh boy.
Before producing.
I don't even know. I mean, I've been involved with music my whole life. My parents, they were both musicians through college, and they knew that they wanted one of their kids to be involved with music. And my brother, he's like strictly sports, my older brother. So that was him growing up, and that was kind of me. And then, like, once high school hit, I had to decide, like, do I want to try music or do I want to keep going with sports? And I just flipped and I started taking music a lot more seriously then.
What sports were you playing?
I was playing ice hockey.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, me and my brother, we both were. Well, I'm from Nebraska, so ice hockey's, like, the big sport out there.
When did you move here to PA?
For college.
Oh,
yeah,
damn.
I had never been to Philly until the day I moved into my dorm, which was terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, music was more of a hobby up until I was forced to kind of prioritize it over sports and whatnot. But then once I did end up prioritizing it, I just kind of ran with it and did, like every music opportunity that there was at like high school and whatnot. And then doing extracurriculars and like playing drums and like gigging with bands and whatnot. And then eventually, once COVID hit, then started doing this. And here we are.
It's fire, bro.
Yeah.
It's crazy you say that. I actually used to play ice hockey myself.
Really?
Yeah. How long have you been, were you playing?
I played for like 9 years.
Damn.
My dad, he taught me to skate like as soon as he taught me how to walk.
Yeah.
But I started playing like club level stuff when I was like 5. So I did it for a while, up and from like age 5 until high school, pretty much.
Yeah, I feel like hockey's one of those sports where you kind of got to start young.
Yeah.
Especially like the skill gap and like the learning curve and everything.
Yeah,
with
most
skating,
definitely.
all that. But shit, man. With producing,
Mhm.
what are some of your like biggest influences that you would say?
I mean, the people that I look up to when it comes to like producing in general, there's obviously, you know, like huge big ticket names, you know, like the Metro Boomins and the Wonder Girls and the Benny X's, you know, like those are all huge names that a lot of people look up to. And I certainly do as well, but I also like to kind of take into account like who helped me get to where I am. So like I got my right hand man Mariano out in LA. He's like my go-to for everything. We got our songs with Baby, we got our songs with Trippie, Black Bear, who else? Chris Brown, Tory Lanez. Like all of my major songs have been with him. So like he's a huge inspiration for me because he dropped out of school like after his freshman year here. He dropped out. Dropped everything and moved to LA and said fuck it.
Yeah.
And you know he's making it happen out there. So he's a huge inspiration to me. And then you know also just like the people that I work with on like a daily basis, whether it's here at school or just people that I work with like that I met through like social media and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously there's like the big names, but then, you know, there's people like my boy Mariano. There's people like Charlie who I work with, you know, 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah.
You know, he keeps my mind fresh. So I'd say there's a pretty healthy balance of like big ticket names and then also people that are kind of in my circle as well that keep me inspired. Yeah.
How long have you two guys actually known each other?
We've known each other for like just under a year and a half now. We met September of 2021, and we started working like the day we met.
No way.
Yeah.
That's fire.
Yeah, and yeah, we've been working pretty consistently since then. I'd say like 50 songs maybe. More? Okay,
Damn.
more than 50. Yeah, but it's not even like every time we hang out we make music. Like, you know, sometimes we'll just hang out and, you know, shoot the shit or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a pretty healthy balance though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, what's like the craziest producing story that you have?
Oh,
like
yeah.
the craziest shit.
Oh, I got a good one. Yeah.
Okay.
So, summer of 2021, I was diagnosed with diabetes just kind of out of nowhere, and I almost died from it, which was crazy. But then 2 weeks after I got out of the hospital, I said fuck it, and I went to LA for two and a half weeks. And I stayed with Mariano out there, and it was me, Mariano, and then my other producer friend Jupiter, who's from Portland. Mariano is crazy, bro. Yeah, yeah. So one night, it was the 3 of us and then Mariano's friend Julia. We were all just kind of bored, whatever, and we caught wind that there was a party up at Dan Bilzerian's old mansion.
No way.
Yeah, which he sold it, and now it's like the Wish house. Like Wish, I guess, turned it into like a content house back when those were a big thing.
Yeah.
But we said fuck it, and we drove up to the hills, and we like parked the car, whatever, tried to get in because it was like an invite only. Obviously, you had to have a wristband to get in, and so we tried walking in, whatever, couldn't get in. And then we were driving up past the house to get to the top of the mountain and then go down on the backside. And one of the valet drivers, who was like valeting people from the bottom of the mountain up, he stops us as we're walking back to the car. He's like, "Are you guys trying to get in the party?" And we're like, "Yeah, of course." And so he says, "Here," and just pulls out a box of wristbands and gives us all one. And he's like, "Just go."
Damn.
And so we walk into this party. It was so weird. It was like this 95-year-old like weed CEO's birthday party. But there were strippers, there were guns, like there was coke, every drug you can think of was there. And there were like big ticket names and shit, and like a lot of like influencers too. It was really weird. But it was just so weird because, you know, there's this like bag of bones dude who looks like he's gonna die like any second, sitting on this gold throne in the middle of this room in Dan Bilzerian's old fucking mega mansion. And then there's me and Mariano and Jupiter and Julia And we stick out like sore thumbs
Yeah.
because we're just there. We didn't even think we were going to get in, but there's all these people that are, they're partying, they're getting fucked up, whatever. And then we're there for a little bit. And I end up DDing us back because like I had just gotten diagnosed with diabetes, so I didn't really want to, try anything. And we get back. It's like, LA night traffic, so it was a bitch of a drive. We get back, and I look at my phone, and it's like 7:30 at night. So like all this happened like in the middle of the afternoon, which is just crazy to think about. Because then everybody like chilled for a bit, and then we got up and we rallied and we went to a session that night, and then we landed some records that I cannot talk about, but they're rather large.
Yeah.
So it was just weird that like that was all going on during the day into the night, and then all that happened, and then we were still able to go do a full session afterwards and and some songs.
Probably
So,
had a lot to talk about during the session.
It was weird, man. Yeah, it was really fucking weird.
Do you enjoy going out to LA?
I do and I don't. I interned out there this past summer, so I was out there all summer. And that it was really fun, but I'm also like really burnt out from just the whole LA world because it's weird and like everyone's just so fake out there.
Speak on that. I've never been to LA, but I've heard a lot about that. So
yeah, I mean it's beautiful. It's a great place to go visit for like a short amount of time. But it kind of feels like you're playing The Sims a little bit just because everybody like just walks around like they're a fucking robot. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No,
but it's just weird. A lot of like smaller influencers. Like there's a big ego thing in LA, obviously, just because everybody that's in LA thinks, that they're better because they're in LA.
Yeah.
But it's hard, especially coming from the middle of nowhere, Nebraska. Like, it's just such a culture shock that like I love going out there for the business side of it. But like anything else but that, or even just that, but for too long is just kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. I feel like Nebraska and LA are like polar opposites. I can't even imagine how much of like a shock it was.
Yeah, it was weird. It was really weird, but it was also pretty fun too.
Yeah.
Because like that whole story was like my third day in LA for the first time.
Yeah.
So just kind of seeing the polar opposites of what it could be was really cool.
Nah, that's dope, man. I know you spoke on burnout. I've only interviewed one other producer on ORA so far. I don't know if you know Matt Swain. He's in Philly too. Yeah. And he spoke a lot about that in his interview too. So like, what do you have to say about that? Like, is that something that you've experienced a lot, or just more recently, or
What, burnout?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah, there are times where I'll sit down and I'll work on music like 6 hours a day every day for like a month straight, and I'll be happy as can be. And then there's also times like this week, I think I've made like one thing in the entire week just because I've felt so unmotivated to like make anything. But yeah, I think burnout's a really big problem, and it's definitely something that doesn't really get talked about enough. Just because I think there's kind of this stigma that like in order to blow up and make a name for yourself and build a platform, you kind of have to work tirelessly as long as possible, as much as possible as well. But yeah, I think that burnout is definitely something that isn't talked about enough and needs to be talked about, both just in conversation and just kind of interpersonally. And it's even something that I deal with and find myself like struggling with a lot too, where I'll just kind of have to sit back and think, damn, like I need to take a fucking break, because like I'm going to hate making music for the next couple of days if I don't stop right now. I find myself doing that kind of a lot, but it's also nice to just kind of have other outlets to still be surrounded by music and enjoy music without sitting at a computer and wasting time making music nonstop.
No, I'm sure a lot of people, actually probably everyone in a creative discipline can relate to that. Whether it's like you're an artist, producer, or even like you like you paint or whatever it may be. Because I feel like, especially like in a creative discipline, like there's no direct way to make. You don't have like a salary. Just like it's not someone's not paying you $50 to like for an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, I can definitely get like I definitely see where that burnout comes from.
Yeah.
Me as well. With ORS.
Oh yeah.
The media grind.
100%.
Yeah. It's definitely something I've dealt with, but I feel like if you're passionate about something, you always rekindle that.
Yeah.
So yeah. I wanted to ask you,
Mm-hmm.
who's like the coolest person you've worked with? I know you spoke on Mariano,
Mm-hmm.
your boy, but kind of like who's like the coolest person and like the coolest artist you've worked with?
Yeah, I've mentioned Mariano a lot, so I'm gonna leave him out of the discussion for now at least. I would say one of the cooler people that I've worked with, just kind of in person, is my boy Josh. He's over in Center City. His studio is actually right next to Obi. And I mean he kind of hit me up out of nowhere last year. And I'm not gonna lie, I did not see his message for a few months, and I felt so bad about it because now him and I, like we're really good,
Yeah.
really good friends and business partners. But yeah, him and I, we planned a session just kind of on a whim, and you came to the first one, right? Yeah, I brought Charlie with me, and we were there for like 4 or 5 hours, and I think we maybe worked on music for like 20 minutes because we were just chopping it up and hanging out. But then also with that, kind of the informal side of it and whatever, I guess like the friendship that comes with it. He'll text me, every couple of days, like, yo, I need this and this and that for this and that. And it's never something where I'm like, okay, I can wait on it. It's always something that's like really important and can have a really nice return. So yeah, I'd probably say him. He has really helped out my networking as well too. That's a big thing. He's introduced me to some of the guys that are working on Dying. He's introduced me to some bigger engineers in the city, and he's really helped put my name around and whatnot. And he was the one that made the play for my 2 Bieber songs. So like my 2 biggest songs have come from this guy.
Justin Bieber?
Yeah.
No way. That's insane, man.
6 months.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I would say he's probably like the coolest dude that I've worked with, besides obviously, Mariano and him are like my 2 right-hand men with production.
Yeah.
The coolest artist though, that's a good question. I mean, a lot of the times when I'm doing production work and I'm working with these bigger artists, it's all remote just because, I'm here in Philadelphia and all the plays are out in LA. But I've got an artist friend of mine. His name's Odd Henny. He was like the first artist that wasn't my friends back home that like reached out to work with me. And he's so cool. He's a really nice guy. And I like the first time him and I worked, it was right over Thanksgiving of 2021 when COVID was like at its like worst. And so I remember he like DM'd me and he was like, send me your number. And he just FaceTimed out of nowhere. And we just like chopped it up like we were good friends. And I just made a couple beats with him on FaceTime. And he wrote to them while I was making them, whatever. And then he recorded a couple songs, and then he had a TikTok blow up like the next day, did crazy numbers. And then he dropped some of our songs, and they did pretty good as well, especially considering that he was kind of running all from one video, like all the hype from it. But he's been someone that, regardless like what he's doing or where he is or like what he has time for, he always like will reach out, even like not even on music, just like he'll just check in and be like, how are you, like how are you doing?
Yeah.
Which is something that I don't think happens enough.
Yeah, not
like,
at all,
just
especially in the
checking
music industry
on a personal level. So that's something I really appreciate, and that's probably one of the main reasons why I would say he's like the coolest artist I work with. Because like we've chopped it up in the studio before, and we've done sessions and we've gotten work done, but then sometimes we'll be on FaceTime for like a couple hours and we won't even talk about music. He'll just tell me about like what's going on in his life, and I'll tell him about what's going on here. And it's like a friendship more than like actually working together as musician and producer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, most definitely, bro. That's fire. I've, a lot of people say this to me. It's like the best part about the music industry and the worst part is the people.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, bro. Like it's crazy how many genuine relationships I've met. I'm sure
Mhm.
you've met too in this
Oh, yeah.
industry. So,
Yeah.
that's sick, man. Who's like your dream collaboration, like artist wise and producer wise?
Producer wise,
It could be anyone.
Anyone.
Yeah, anyone.
Man, I don't even know. I would say, and this is gonna sound so stupid. I would say, like, if I had to pick, like, on the production side, I would say Lil Yachty, because he's been doing a lot of production recently. I know he did a lot of the Drake album. But I would love to just like sit down and work on strictly production with someone that's a big enough artist where they can kind of like pull in their industry artist like perspective.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's something that's really hard to gauge as a producer, is like what sounds good to me versus what's going to sound good to an artist.
Right.
So I would say I feel like that would be really fun and really like informative. If I had to pick an artist, so Ty Dolla $ign, 100%.
Yeah.
The best feature artist of our generation.
Yeah. Facts.
Yeah, I would love to just like work on something with him.
That's fire, bro.
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned Yachty.
Yeah.
He just dropped the wild card album.
Crazy.
I don't think anyone would have expected that shit after Poland.
Mm-mm.
What did you think about it? Did you listen to the whole thing?
I'm not gonna lie, I listened to the first song today. I haven't listened to any of the other songs yet, but I mean, for what I heard from one song, it was ridiculous. It was so cool. Yeah, I think it's kind of, I don't want to necessarily say it has like the whole lot of Red effect where it's like the first listen through people are like, man, this shit sucks.
Yeah.
And then like the more people listen to it, the more they come around to it. But I think just with the kind of the genre bending that he does on the album, it'll kind of take some listening to get used to it. But I mean, I listened to it once and I fucked with it. So.
Yeah. Nah, most definitely, bro. I think I actually posted about this on ORS earlier. Like, I don't even know if it's a marketing technique at this point, but like his old album like got leaked.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened with that, but I'm glad we got what we did. Because I don't think anyone expected this.
Yeah. No, not at all.
Yeah, not at all. Do you feel like the producer community is more toxic than the artist community, like in general, like what you've worked with, or like how do you feel about that?
I think the artist community is way more toxic. That's just my opinion though.
Yeah.
And that might be biased just because of the people that I work with and whatnot. I mean, there's definitely some toxicity within the producer community. People will like talk shit in group chats about certain people or like send people stories and be like, this dude sounds so fucking stupid. But that's really it. That just kind of boils down to kind of like harmless bullying.
Yeah.
Which is bad, yes, obviously, but I don't think it's really anywhere near the toxicity that I've seen like between artists and just heard about.
Yeah.
Between artists, like I mean, all these artists, like these industry artists have like crazy beef and they're like killing people over dumb shit, but like when's the last time you heard of a producer killing another producer over something?
Right.
Like and I think that kind of comes with the platform difference of producer to artist. But even just to kind of think about it that extremely, I don't think that the toxicity in the producer community is anywhere near what it is in the artist community. Not to discredit. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Not definitely. I wanted to ask you this. I know you posted on your story. I don't even know if it was a couple weeks or months now. This is the SaturnGates interview, but you said that you want to change your producer name to Will.
Yeah.
Why? I can kind of assume like why you would want to, but I want to hear it from you.
Yeah, so the reason is actually so fucking stupid. So the main reason why I wanted to change it was because every time I've been to a studio session and there's someone that like I haven't met yet and they walk in, they introduce themselves, there's always been like this weird overthinking moment in my head where it's like, do I introduce myself as SaturnGates or do I introduce myself as Will? Because Will feels more natural, but SaturnGates is what like people in this industry should know me as.
Right.
And I always just say I'm Will because that's just easier. So I kind of thought about it as wanting to kind of immersify, if that's a word.
Yeah.
Immersify, like the personal side of myself, because I like to keep things really personal and unprofessional when it comes to how I interact with people and how I present myself. And I wanted to kind of mesh that in with, you know, the business side of actually producing and doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I just kind of had a change of heart thanks to my partner Morgan, and SaturnGates is here
Hell
to
yeah,
this
man.
day. Yeah.
Iconic.
Yeah.
What do you think about the current state of music? Because I know there's a lot of, you know, opinions, especially like, I feel like TikTok has been a pretty big factor. If you want to touch on that as well.
I
Which
would love to.
People
Yeah.
go for it, but people are now saying that the government might ban TikTok.
Yeah.
I think they've been trying to do that since like the Trump administration.
Yeah.
But you know, we'll see if that happens. You know, speak on that, man. How do you think TikTok's affected music, and what do you think about music right now?
Yeah, I fucking hate TikTok so much.
Yeah.
I'll be the one to say it. I hate
me
TikTok
me too, yeah.
so fucking much. Thank you. And I just the reason, one of the many reasons why I hate TikTok is just because of how the music industry is centered around it now.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, 5 years ago, TikTok wasn't a thing necessarily, and it didn't have its notoriety or its significance. But now, you know, since TikTok is like the most used social media app on the planet, obviously with that comes, you know, kind of bad business, bad politics.
Right.
And I think, you know, labels are smart to do what they do, where they focus a lot of their campaigning and their funding on pushing their catalog on TikTok. But with that, then, you know, comes this kind of hierarchy and competition of, you know, everybody that wants to do something in this industry has to be on TikTok, and they have to be, you know, creating the next trend or some shit to just try and catch a wave. And it's just so fucking stupid. I hate it. But yeah, I mean, the music industry in general is just kind of, I feel like it's been in this weird limbo phase since COVID.
Yeah.
Because obviously a really big portion of the music industry is touring and live shows, and that's how a lot of these labels and these artists make their recruitments and make their money in general. And I think that's also another reason why TikTok and social media has such a bigger influence now, is because you can do a show to a stadium of people, but those people have to commit to going to the show and buying the tickets and actually being there, versus, you know, you can do a live stream or a pay-per-view, and, you know, we could watch that here, I could watch that in bed, I could watch that while, you know, taking a shit. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I definitely could have worded that better. That explanation. But yeah, I fucking hate TikTok so goddamn much. So much.
Yeah.
That's my stance on that. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry, man. I feel the exact same way. Like, I really do hope it gets banned. But I don't know, like, I feel like this short form content formula that's kind of taken over the world is everywhere now. You know, it's on Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. So I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but, you know, I feel like it's really weird because I feel like TikTok's a platform where you kind of just, if you're like an artist trying to blow up, you throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. Yeah. And it's led to a lot of like oversaturation. Yeah. Artists that, I feel like it kind of takes the hard part out of becoming an artist. Yeah, most definitely. And, you know, I feel like also people kind of remember you for a moment on TikTok if you go viral, and it's a lot harder to maintain that relevancy. Yeah. But I don't know, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's stupid.
Yeah. We'll see what happens, man. Yeah. It's definitely, you know, very interesting. Yeah. But, yeah, fuck TikTok. Yeah. Shit. Oh, I want to ask you this.
Oh boy.
Would you ever start rapping?
No, never.
Have you ever like made music before?
No. Besides like a couple nights when I've been drunk, or I had to take a class here where I had to make songs. It was a songwriting class. But that's really it though. I think the only time I would ever make music is if it was pitching demos to artists.
Got you.
Or just working on the songwriting side of stuff, but never releasing stuff with my own voice on it.
Do you have those do you have those recorded songs you made when you were drunk?
I would have to find them because I I probably have like 3 or 4 from way long ago. I mean, they're probably like pushing 3-4 years old at this point, so they'd be on my other computer.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Has anyone heard it except for you?
Well, maybe. I don't think very many people have. I think more people have heard the stuff that I had to do for like my classes and whatever. Because I mean, I had to present those in front of like 35, 40 people each week. But yeah, that's about as close to being an artist and like rapping in general as I would ever want to do.
So I guess the world's never gonna hear SaturnGates as the artist.
No, they don't want to. They don't want to.
Man, bro, that's crazy. Shit. I want to ask you, what's like one piece of advice you can give to an upcoming producer, like whatever genre they're in. I'm sure you were once in their shoes as well, just trying to make all these connections, and seeing how far you've come. Like what's with like the networking side and like the creative side, the money side, like what's something that you can say to them?
I mean, there's definitely a nicer way that I could say this, but I would just say, like, don't be fucking stale.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many people that I have worked with, or even myself for a long time, where when I was reaching out to people, it was copy, paste. Yo, bro, you're so hard.
Yeah.
What's your email so I can send you loops? Like, it's just so stale. And I read through those DMs every day, and I delete them because I just don't like looking at them, because I know that was me at one point.
Yeah.
And I know that where my head was, okay, I'm just going to send this I'm going to go through this guy's following, and I'm going to DM every single person this guy follows.
Yeah.
The same exact copy paste thing. But yeah, I mean, just don't be fucking stale. Like, I would much rather work with someone that has, a much smaller following, but they present themselves as, like kind of authentic on social media.
Right.
A big thing that I really like, not necessarily that I like seeing, but I enjoy seeing more of, is people, like not hiding behind a persona.
Right.
Which is part of the reason why I wanted to kind of blend Will and SaturnGates, was to kind of push that a little bit more. But I would much rather work with someone with a smaller following that is, authentic and actually presents themselves as a real human, and not just someone that sits behind a computer and makes music. And it's so easy to be stale and just go through the motions and everything. But, by taking that extra step to actually show people that you're a real person and you give a fuck about the relationship that you're trying to build with them, that makes all the difference. Yeah. I quite honestly, I have an example too. I'll keep it short. But there's a producer, his name's Culture, and him and I, we started working last year. I think I followed him when he had like 52 followers or something, right? And we dropped a kit together just because I thought he was crazy hard. You know what? I actually found him off of Looperman, fun fact. Because I guess that was kind of back when I was still like going through Looperman to find stuff. But I found him and I DM'd him. Fuck, I've been trying to remember how I tapped him. That's how it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I like DM'd him and we dropped a kit together, and his following, I think, grew like tenfold. Like, I think he was at 50 something, and he's like probably like close to 600 now. And he just when he does present himself on social media, it's authentic, and he's been working with bigger people. And I was able to get him his first major, which was really cool.
Hell yeah.
Because like, his following was so minuscule, and I'm not saying that it's incredibly huge now, because it's not, but it's incredibly huge compared to what it was, because he was authentic and we made that connection, and it actually seemed like he gave a shit.
Right.
And because of that, we just kind of meshed a lot better, and we were able to kind of work off the jump a lot more fluidly.
Yeah, man. Nah, for real. I can definitely relate to that too as a media page, because I'm sure you might experience this as well. You get artists all the time that like send their new music to you, and it's like, I just dropped this. Go tap in with this, and they like spam send it to like
Yeah.
their entire like DM list. And I feel like in a world where that is so prominent, the authenticity really sticks out.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's really the main thing. So that's also what I would say to, any creative discipline, authenticity really sticks.
Mhm.
100%. What is something that outside of producing, people don't know you for and they may not expect, from you? Something that you're really into that people may not know.
That I'm really into. I don't know. I mean,
Music is your life.
My whole life is kind of consumed by music. Let's see. Man, I don't know. This is so embarrassing. I can't think of a single thing.
Any hidden talents?
Music.
Fuck. I'm so sorry.
Nah, you're good, bro.
I mean, there's gotta be something that's just not super boring.
Do you still play hockey?
No. I wish. Let's see. Oh my god, why is this so hard?
Nah, you're good.
I'm so ashamed of myself. We'll circle back.
Yeah, we'll circle back.
We'll table that for now.
I mean, shit, man. Like, I feel like that kind of speaks low key, speaks testaments to how much you work on this shit.
Yeah.
A lot of music people I interview and I talk to, they're into gaming. Are you into gaming too?
I was. Through COVID, I would play video games like every night with my friends. But
What games?
Call of Duty.
Mm.
Yeah, it was either Call of Duty or Fortnite every night. But yeah, just in the past few months, I don't think I've turned on like my PlayStation at all, just because I'm here all the time or I'm working on my laptop all the time. So
Man, I remember when it came out,
yeah,
everyone was on that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, what a time, bro. It's fucking iconic.
Shout out Fortnite.
Yeah, shout out.
Shout out.
Shout out Fortnite, man. No cap.
Yeah.
Shit. Low-key kind of wrapping it up.
Mhm.
Where do you think the future of music is headed? Like short term and also long term, like the next decade, maybe even beyond that too. Are you kind of optimistic? Have a good outlook for the future?
I mean, I think it could go both ways. I hope that it continues to kind of grow organically. I think just kind of with the pandemic and everything, it really brought in a new kind of sound and a new wave of kind of underground artists taking over the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that, things like that continue to happen where it's, like the small guys turning into the big guys,
Right.
turning into the biggest guys.
Yeah.
And I mean, in a perfect world, that's kind of what would continue to happen. But, just with how many different factors have played into music in the past, 5-10 years, it's hard to kind of gauge because I mean, TikTok wasn't really a thing 5 years ago.
Mhm.
And, 5 years later, it runs the music industry. So it's like,
Right.
what's to say that something else isn't going to come in and 5 years from then, that's going to be the thing that runs the industry.
True.
So, yeah. So I think it's just kind of a big question mark.
Yeah.
But I hope the answer is that, like the underground sound continues to get pushed and it's not just a bunch of plants and whatever.
Yeah, man. I agree, man. I feel like, especially in the trap genre, but low-key as a whole, we're seeing a lot of mainstream artists just make music, just for the money.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm really grateful that we got that Yachty project. Because, when's the last time you really saw a mainstream artist push a sound like that, So, shout out to Yachty, man. Hopefully we get to see a lot more of that in the mainstream and the underground.
Yeah, most definitely.
Pushing music. What can we expect from you in the future? Where do you kind of want to take your sound with producing and anything you want to promote? Just talk about the future.
I mean, I obviously want to keep doing beats and loops and all that stuff because that's what really keeps me busy and keeps me grounded. But I also definitely in the future want to focus more on kind of the playmaking, the A&R world and the administrative world. Just because that's something that I really enjoy is helping other people kind of win. Because, I mean, quite honestly, I don't think I would be anywhere remotely close to where I was now if I wasn't kind of spoon-fed my first few bigger drops or bigger placements to then kind of push the momentum.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I'm so grateful to have had that opportunity to kind of be shown how the music industry works by, going, face first into it and getting huge songs, a couple months in.
Yeah.
I really just want to focus on that and like being the person that can get producers like face first in the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I've worked enough on beats and loops and all that shit and like going to studio sessions and being the producer and whatever, that like I want to focus kind of more on like the playmaking and also like forming a company. Like I'm kind of in the middle of forming a distribution label right now.
I think you told me about that.
Yeah. So that was really happening a few months ago. And it's kind of tabled for right now just because I think everybody's really busy with what all of us are doing in our own lives. But I think that's definitely something that I want to focus on, is just kind of working more on the administrative side of something and kind of taking the bull by the horns and saying fuck it.
Yeah.
And just kind of doing what seems right. And, if it fucking sucks, it fucking sucks. But
Yeah. No, that's fire, man.
Yeah.
I feel like there's always room to grow,
Yeah,
especially
most definitely.
in this industry. But
Yeah.
seeing you or hearing you talk about kind of wanting to be in that like teacher role for a lot of new producers coming up, it's kind of dope. Transitioning from that student role to now you can actually lead people who want to do the same thing that you did.
Yeah.
And you're
most
continuing
definitely.
to do. And I got one last question.
Yeah, of course.
Unless you want to circle back to
we can circle back.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have 2 cats.
Okay.
That is my fun fact.
I've
I've got 2 cats.
2 cats.
I've got well, I have 1 cat and my roommate has 1 cat, so I kind of have 2 cats. We've got Lolita, which I post on my Instagram story all the time. She's a black cat that we adopted. She was found in Kensington and she had just had babies. And so she's tiny because I guess when like female cats like have babies, they stop growing or something. I don't know. But she's tiny and she's really fat. And then we've got Boba, who I also post on my Instagram way more than I probably should. But I found him under a car walking back from my partner Morgan's place. And he just like jumped into my coat as I like sat down to like pet him. And so then I called Morgan and I was like, yeah, we have a cat now. And so yeah, I've got 2 cats that I didn't really ask for either of them, but they both showed up and
they're part of the family now.
Yeah.
It's fire, bro.
Yeah.
So it's definitely cats over dogs for you.
Now it is, yeah.
Do you used to have dogs?
Yeah. I never had a cat until we ended up with these 2, so.
Got you.
Yeah.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah. Shout out cats.
The hidden passion of SaturnGates. Cats.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
so fucking lame.
That's dope, bro. But shit, I know a lot of interviews ask this question to kind of close off or round out their interviews. But I feel like any interview is kind of incomplete without this question right here.
Yeah.
What is your message for the youth? Like anyone out there that's watching that wants to do anything, it could be anything. This is your platform right here to say whatever you want. Go for it.
Oh boy. Smoke as much weed as possible. Joke. I have night terrors when I smoke weed, so don't do that.
Relatable.
Amen. Shit. I would say just don't be fucking lame. And I hate that just like sounds so blunt, but from my personal experience, I would not be where I'm at, working with who I'm working with, and doing what I'm doing, if I was lame and I presented myself as lame. And I guess what I mean by lame is bland.
Yeah.
Circling back to that whole bit there.
Yeah.
Just being authentic and being yourself is so much more important than the actual product that you are providing in the early stages, because building the relationship is what's going to keep the connections growing further than just, okay, I got your email and I'm going to send you a Dropbox and you're never going to open the email.
Right.
But even just in general, like, don't be fucking lame. Just be cool, be genuine. And I also think that presenting yourself as someone that's easily approachable is really nice as well, because then people feel like they shouldn't be afraid to actually reach out to you and talk to you.
Yeah.
And I mean, you never know what's gonna come out of a conversation with a stranger. Like, that's just how that is. I mean, me and Charlie, we talked for the first time while I was playing Call of Duty, and you know, like a year and a half later, we're working on a whole album that we're pitching to labels. Like,
Yeah.
that's just how that happens, and it's because I felt he was approachable, and I would hope he felt I was approachable, and we formed a friendship out of it that's deeper than music.
Right.
And that's what really like matters, is the shit that's like deeper than the music.
Yeah.
Because that's what's gonna take you so much further.
Facts, man.
Yeah. So don't be fucking lame. Don't be a dweeb. Be cool and be approachable and presentable to others, because if you aren't, you are not going to succeed.
There you go. Shit, man.
Wow,
That's
that was bad. I sounded like an asshole there. I'm sorry.
nah.
Just being real.
Yeah, very, very real, man. Just be you.
Yeah, exactly. Be you.
Be you, and it'll work out in the end.
Yeah, and don't like give a fuck what people think if you're being you. Like, criticism is kind of a compliment.
Yeah, man. Especially nowadays, like everyone has something to say.
Mm-hmm.
In the world of the internet,
Yeah.
you know, it's very easy to type something on your phone.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
and not really give a fuck about what the person may think about it or how it may affect them.
Yeah.
It's the world we live in. You gotta have tough skin,
Mm-hmm.
especially in this industry.
Yeah.
Shit, man. That's pretty much the whole interview.
Sweet.
Thank you so much, bro.
Yeah, my hands are sweaty because I was
That's all
nervous. I'm
good.
sorry.
Nah, you're good. Crazy, bro. You've fucking before 1,000 followers, and now we're here, growing even further. ORS and Saturn Gates, man.
This is what being authentic gets you. It gets you an interview.
No
with
cap.
off-record sounds.
The fucking goal in life. The
Yeah.
ORS interview.
Yeah.
But shit, man. Nah, this is you're watching Off Record Sounds, and this is the Saturn Gates interview.
Should we clap now?
Yeah.
Clap.
Thank you.
All right, there we go.
I cried.